Karen.
Yes.
Quick poll.
Okay.
If
that was fast. Oh.
That was fast, but no, okay. Start again. Karen.
Yes.
Quick poll.
Yes.
If intuition was a college course, do you think I'd be A, valedictorian, B, barely scraping by with a C minus, or C, the guy who accidentally enrolled thinking it was Intro to Italian Cooking?
Well, am I the teacher?
I don't know that I matters which one it is. But
Well, I mean, it kind of does, because maybe I would think you were like a C, but you're kind of cute, so I'd bump you up.
wow, I don't know that I like that. Well, the good news.
No, you should.
Okay. Well, then I do. No, the good news is that, Karen, today's guest has the real syllabus.
Oh.
See, she isn't just intuitive. She's basically the dean of spiritual awesomeness.
Wow.
She's a professional medium, a transformational leader, a founder of the award-winning SAGE method, and the author of Cracking Open Adventures of a Reluctant Medium.
I like that.
It opens up all kinds of possibilities, right? Well, she's here to teach us how to actually connect with our intuition. No crystal ball required. So grab your notebooks, folks. Spiritual school is in session. You always laugh at me.
I know. Should I have dropped it down to like a B minus?
Well, I mean, I was hoping for a B or something, but geez, C. God, okay. All right, here we go.
My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
we both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic Metaphysicians.
Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
Welcome back to another powerful, packed episode of the Skeptic Metaphysicians. I got to figure out another P thing because it just doesn't go. The alliteration just drops dead after the powerful and packed. But
And you don't want to say pungent. That doesn't really
no,
work.
I tried. I thought about that, but no, that's
Positive.
It's only me when
It's a plethora of P words.
maybe you should introduce the show. Anyway, thankfully, today's guest is the real professor of intuitive awesomeness. Beau Maxwell, or just Beau if you want to sound cool, is a professional medium, internationally recognized spiritual teacher, and the creator of the award-winning SAGE method. She actually started out super logical, math, chemistry, full-on science brain, until one life-altering experience cracked her wide open to the world of spirit, and now, with nearly 20 years of experience under her belt, Beau has helped thousands of people awaken their intuition in real, powerful, practical ways. Like I mentioned before, she's also the author of Cracking Open Adventures of a Reluctant Medium, the hilarious and heartfelt story of how even the most reluctant among us can find their spiritual calling. Needless to say, I am all ears today. So sharpen those pencils and open those third eyes because spiritual school's officially in session. Welcome to the show, Beau Maxwell. How are you doing today, Beau?
I am fantastic. I am so excited to meet the two of you because your podcast, it's just nummy. It's like, yeah, this has been a good day.
Okay, let me just clear. You say nummy or nummy, like make people numb? Because that would be bad.
Yeah, that would be bad. No,
Yeah.
I'm talking about like chef kiss delicious.
Ooh.
Oh, I'll take that
Yeah.
kind of
I will
nummy. Yeah.
too. I don't think we've
Yeah.
ever heard that before.
No.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's probably one of the best compliments we've ever had.
is.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you
So-
for having me.
Well, it's a pleasure. We've been looking forward to this for a while. We've talked a lot about intuition, and we've done deep dives on all kinds of peripheral stuff. And you would think, after 4 years of doing the show, meditating every day, talking to all these kinds of people, my intuition would flipping open up already. So what am I doing wrong?
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
Yeah. Just call me wilted feather here.
There are some key components to opening up intuition, and they can be really big game changers, but they're very simple. And I have foundational tools that I teach students, like focusing in on where are you actually looking? and what are you actually looking for? You know, we can get pretty caught up in the solid world, and I can elaborate on any of these. Do you take care of your energetic body? Meaning, do you pay attention to how you're absorbing energy every day, and how things are affecting you, not only physically but energetically? Then you can start to sort of set some boundaries and clear out your space, clear your head. Are you decluttered in life? Are you a thinker? Because that's me. I'm a thinker. Mm-hmm. So I have to take extra steps to get out of my own way.
Right.
Which, do you get in your own way? That kind of thing. And waiting for it too is also sometimes limiting. That's a kicker. It takes patience to experience something, but I don't have patience. So that was one of my hurdles too.
It's like you're talking directly to me now, Beau. So do you think, because I've always just placed it at the foot of the fact of I just my male energy, is it more difficult for guys to tune into their intuition than women?
I really want to say no, but I'm going to say yes. And I'm sorry for saying yes to that one, all you guys out there. Men are that masculine energy, because we've all got masculine energy. We all have feminine energy. I've got a pretty even keel myself, pretty even split. But masculine energy wants to solve it. Wants a plan, wants a schedule, wants to solve it, wants a complete answer, and wants it to happen in a pattern, wants it lined up. There needs to be some sort of a path, right? Feminine energy. Sorry.
I must be a guy. Because you just explained me to a T. Like, if look up will in the dictionary and you see that's exactly what it's. Okay, so sorry. Female energy, on the other hand.
Yeah, and female energy, on the other hand, can just submerge in something to see what happens. So that's really the state of being we need to be in to access fully. So here's an analogy. This is one of my favorite ones. Intuition is like a hallway. Your intuitive channel is like a hallway. And at the end of the channel, at the end of the hallway, is a mail carrier with your intuitive message. And that mail carrier needs to walk down the hallway to give you that message. So some of the things that block intuition fit into this analogy ridiculously well. The clutter in your life, if that hallway is cluttered, the mail carrier has to get through the clutter, right? If you need that hallway organized, ran, structured, it needs, the way that you need it to be, that mail carrier needs to figure that out and go through those hoops to be able to get through the hallway, instead of just letting them show up when they want to show up, how they want to show up, delivering what they want to deliver. So intuition is one of those things that you just got to let it be. You just have to let yourself be submersed in it in order to get the actual answer. And it has to also be okay to be gray and not black and white and not all the details. And those are the things that we have a really tough time with. I can speak to this because before I opened up, I'm just like you, Will. I need the answers. There needs to be a plan. We need to have this step by step. Here's the information that I think I need. That's another very masculine trait. And when we let go of all that, that's when we can access it with more ease.
And I wonder also how much of it has to do with society. Men shouldn't be in touch with their feelings or open to the woo because that's very feminine, that's weak, that's different, that's whatever. So I think you might have subconscious this ideal of how a man should be physically and psychically.
Great. So what I'm hearing you both say is that I'm out of luck.
Screwed.
Got it.
You're not
Okay.
out of luck.
All right. Thank you.
You just have to take a couple extra steps. That's it. And Karen, I am completely in alignment with exactly what you said. Men were raised to be right, and they have to know what they're doing, and they have to be able to do any task that's put in front of them. And that's kind of part of the programming that they're raised with. And so being in a space to receive intuitive information is being in a very vulnerable space. It would be like asking a guy to walk into a room of 10 people and they're all giving their opinions and he can't say anything and it's on the topic he knows about.
Oh
Right?
no, that's like hell.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be for you.
Yeah. So that energy, because men have that provider feel, that need to help. So if you have an accountant, male accountant, walk into a room and everyone's giving their opinions on money, they want to help. They want to go, hey, what about this? What about this? What about this? So they want to interject. Whereas receiving intuitive information, you need to just be. And you need to kind of put yourself in that thought process to the side and just be kind of removed from linear time, really.
And that also would explain maybe why you don't like surprise parties. Guys don't tend to like surprise parties as much as women do, because we're just used to whatever's going to happen, and I love surprises, but you're not a big surprise guy.
No, it gets embarrassing. I just know, surprise. Oh, great. Here we are.
I'm like, yes.
Yes. Yes. I don't like them either. I think this is why I ended up being the poster child for opening your intuition, because if I could do it, anyone can do it, because I'm really wired that way. I need a plan. If I know something that I think will help, I'm going to explain it. So it's like, and I need an outcome, and I need a goal, and I need all those types of things. And I'm just wired that way. I took mathematics in college. I have a math degree, And so the hurdles that I had to overcome are the hurdles that help, the things that I've learned are the things that help my students today. So I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
I guess that's probably why when in meditation, that's when I start getting like the eureka moments, like, oh, right. Because I'm allowing my ego to step out of the way, and I get these things, which brings up the next question in my journey of intuition. How do you know that is your intuition and not just me making stuff up?
Oh, the intuition versus imagination battle of all battles. Yeah, that's a tough one. At first you don't. And that's not my favorite answer.
That's not very helpful.
But that's
there,
so
Beau.
true, because
Thanks for
sometimes
having
you're
me on the
right
show.
on.
It's been great.
and-
Yeah.
Sometimes you're just not.
Yeah.
And you are. And
I
I'm
know.
like, no.
I know I am. I mean,
Sometimes you are.
well, she said
Sometimes
I'm a guy,
you're
right?
not.
We're raised to be right. She said that was her words, not mine.
Raised to want to be right.
No.
Let's
You didn't say
clarify.
want to. You said to be right. Rewind the tape, maestro. All right.
No, it's in the beginning, it's difficult because it really comes from the same process. And what I tell people to start with is, first off, jot stuff down that comes through. If you're not sure if it's intuition or not, write it down somewhere. When it shows up later and proves itself, then you can go back and review that. But a couple of things that I tell people is, number one, imagination is a push and intuition is a pull. And when you can start to feel those subtle differences between the two, that's when you can start to delineate between the two. Where was I thinking about that already and then something else popped in? That's probably your imagination. But did it come out of left field and I have no idea where that came from? That's probably intuition. So the pushing into your imagination is you creating versus you receiving. And it's a very subtle difference at first, but soon it becomes more and more clear. Here's another one. You can, upon receiving an intuitive piece of information, you can wipe the slate clean. You can wipe it all away, say thank you for the message. If that was my intuition, can you please repeat it? Here's the thing. We have teams on the other side. We have guides, we have loved ones, we have ancestors. It's called all these different things all over the globe, right? Mm-hmm. And they want you to get the message. So it's not like you're alone in this isolation chamber and you're just hoping to hear what you're supposed to hear. They really want you to get the message. So it is okay to say to them, can you repeat that for me? It will help me to feel if that was intuition. They actually will. They actually will. And when we ask for signs, we're not going to get them all the time, because when we ask for the signs we're not supposed to get, we don't, right? But when we set structures up to say, hey, can you help me with this? Here's an unusual one. And actually, it's not too unusual. So I'm a medium. I lean very heavy on the medium side, not so much on the psychic side. And at first, when I was first doing readings, a spirit would come into the room, and I'd take time to figure out, where they landed in the family, our mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, et cetera, et cetera. And then I finally came up with an idea one day, and I said to my guides, can you help me out with this? Can we do like a bowling pin pattern? Right? So the client is the head pin, and then mom on one to the left, dad to the right, and then grandma, grandpa, grandma, and maybe that'll help. And they started doing it. So now when a loved one comes in and they're standing 2 rows behind dad, I know it's their great grandfather.
That
So
is
little
cool.
things. Yeah, and that was my request.
Right.
So we can request these structures to say, hey, I need a little help. And they're gonna help because they want you to get what they're trying to send you.
Gotcha. I learned something else on this conversation. I learned that I have the most frustrated spiritual team in the world. Thanks, Beau.
You're so welcome. I think
now you can have
they're
the
probably
conversation.
hanging out with my team somewhere because my team goes through it with me all the time. But yeah.
So in his introduction, Will said that something happened that cracked you wide open. What was it? Or is that for the book?
Well, it was, it's what I wrote about in the book. The book is the first 2 years of my development because it was awkward and interesting. So I was 32 and I was in New Hampshire and my grandmother was in Minnesota. So a couple thousand miles apart. And my grandmother was passing. She was in hospice and she was like my mom, but I couldn't financially get there. So on a plane. So I was on the phone with family and they were in the hospice room. So I was at least kind of there. She passed, hung up the phone, came out in the living room. You know, the family took off to go to the grocery store to get chocolate and wine because they were nice to me. And I was standing there. It was the middle of the afternoon. I was standing there trying to figure out, do I book my flight or do I fall apart while they're gone? Like I was just trying to manage my time. I need a plan. This is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And she showed up in front of me, about 10 feet in front of me. She was standing sideways and she was about 70% solid. And I did not have a joyous reaction to it.
Yeah.
Because it scared the socks off me. I remember jumping back and screaming, and she turned and looked at me and winked and smiled and then disappeared like in front of me. And up until this point, I was a complete skeptic. It was all frauds. It wasn't real. I didn't even bother with it. Like I had no religion. I didn't bother with any of it. And all I had was ghost stories in my head. And then I remember saying something like, if that was you, don't ever do that again. And then I remember feeling guilty about saying that. And then I said, it was a hallucination. This is grief. I'm good.
Right.
We're good. I say nothing. We all go to bed. We wake up the next morning. My husband at the time says to me, this is so bizarre, but I had this super realistic dream about your grandmother. And she was wearing this blue shirt and it was buttoned down. It was short sleeve. He described to a T what she was wearing when she showed up in my living room the day before. And I went, maybe there's something to this. And then I'm like, no. So if I have to be brutally raw and honest, I just wanted her back. I just wanted her back. And so I'm like, well, I'm pretty skilled at deducing things. So I'm going to prove that this is true or not true. And then it started. It was true. She started giving me proof that I couldn't deny, like messed up. Messed up. And I don't mean messed up in a bad way. I just mean like it messed with my head. Right. I went to therapy for a year.
Wow.
Slowly started to get the courage to talk to the people that were outside of my circles. And next thing I knew, I said to a friend, so I met a friend and she was with another friend and her dad in spirit showed up. This is the first time I ever read a person. And so I've got my living friend in front of me, her friend next to her, and her deceased dad shows up and he was 5'2". And my friend said, how's it going? Are you feeling okay? Because she knew. And then she told her friend. And I said, yeah, it's weird. I'm seeing people all the time now. I said, like, there's a guy standing right next to you and he's like 5'2". And she just started sobbing. She's like, that's my dad. And I was like, Okay. So then she asked for a reading, and then another asked for a reading, another. And I had been working with a spirit guide. And see if somebody said that to me 25 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, spirit guide. Yeah, Jim, you've got an imaginary friend there, don't you? So, but I worked with a spirit guide that I met after my grandmother, and I worked with him for about 2 years. And he was the one that taught me what I needed to do, needed to let go of, how to hold myself mentally, to be able to do these readings and to do the work. So now here I am, 2 years out, working professionally as a reader, because that's what I thought I was supposed to do. And my guide said to me, I need you to take everything that I taught you and I need you to bring it out into the world. And I said, yes, sir, I will. And that's the SAGE method.
Wow.
We're going to talk about that for a second, but we're kindred. So I feel like I can speak to you about this. Right?
Yes.
When you say you see them, right? Because there's nothing that I would love more than to have that kind of surety that this stuff is truly real, right? I know intellectually, there's been some experiences, but I've never seen somebody. I've never spoken to anyone. I've never, I've never astral project. Like I've never done or seen anything that has made me go, well, son of a bitch, that's true. That there's no way around that one, right?
Would you change your voice like that?
I would. I totally would if that happened to me. I'll tell you, my spirit guides, if you make something happen, I will change my voice. No, but so like from one skeptic to another, right? What do you mean you see these people? Like you see them, or is it in your mind see them?
Do you know how good of a question this is? It's ridiculous how incredible this question is, because people aren't talking about this. And this is a huge block because there's an expectation.
Yeah.
So someone sees someone like me say, I saw this, and then I saw him, and I saw he was 5'2", and there is an idea, because the way that people talk about it, it makes it sound like what you would see in a movie, right? Ghost Town. One of my favorite movies. But anyway, that's the perception. And then so while people are waiting for that to happen, they're having these other things. So I'm going to absolutely describe to you how I see, because it's not what people think.
Okay.
And that's happening already. You're already seeing, but you don't know it because you're looking for something else. So how I see is first, if a spirit comes into the room, I first feel like someone's in the room, but I don't see anything. So I need to kind of disconnect from the agreed upon reality, is how I say it. And I just sort of, defocus, kind of let the world around me fall away. And then I see them in like a heat pattern. So, like heat wave over the road. Imagine if that comes up into the form of a person. And then I need to focus in on that heat pattern. And then sometimes they come a little bit into, like I can kind of make out what they look like. Most of the time it's just the things that they show me. Like it's almost like they come in closer to show me how tall they are, or they'll come in closer to show me what they're wearing for clothes. But it is not like, now I'm going to compare this to my grandmother. It's not like that moment. So there are two really different phenomenons happening here. We have moments where we see spirit almost solid, if not solid. And I have had that happen a handful of times. I've been doing this for 20 years. So how I describe how it happened with my grandmother, it's only happened to me a couple more times since then. Every time since then, it's been like a vague heat wave kind of visual. And it is outside of myself, probably because I've got personal space boundaries mentally, but right. I'm like super private. Like you can stay there. You're good. You can stay there. You don't have to come close. There's no Whoopi Goldberg going on here. I'm
right.
all set.
Right.
But when I do see, and a lot of people see within their mind, within their third eye, so they close their eyes. That's a way to defocus. This is a key point. We start looking everywhere. Like if you see something out of the corner of your eye, you turn and look and there's nothing.
Right.
And I can tell you exactly why.
That happened to me once.
Sorry, Carrie.
One.
Yes.
Yeah, on the stairs, the
And
guy, remember the dog was barking
That's right.
and he wouldn't go upstairs, and I
right.
walked upstairs and like I for a second saw like some dude on the stairs, and I looked and he wasn't there, and then I'm like, all right, if someone's here, you got to move off the stairs because the dog's afraid. And then
Yeah, you're freaking
the
out the
dog
dog.
was fine.
So what's happening there is your peripheral is defocused. So when you turn, your eyes are searching the material world. Your eyes are focused on the wall, on the stairs, on the door, searching in the material world for what you saw that's not in the material world. So spirit, ghosts, all, I mean, however you want to describe it, that resides in the spaces in between the molecules, not in the solid.
That
So
makes-
once we conceptualize that, it's a big one, Karen. It really is.
It makes
once
perfect
you
sense.
once you realize that and you go, oh, I'm not looking for anything. I actually have to sort of relax my vision. It's why scrying, crystal ball. I don't have a crystal ball, but you know, there's all those jokes about crystal balls and stuff, but they're real and they do work because they pull you away from the solid world. Now, one more thing I do want to say, because I know a lot of people say, I can't see, I can't see, I can't see, even with my eyes closed. When I get like an image or a vision with my eyes closed, it doesn't look like something you'd see on a television screen. Imagine a room and it's very, very dimly lit, and there's a table in the middle of the room and there's an apple sitting on the middle of the table. And you can kind of make out that it's an apple, but you can't quite see it. It's not shiny, bright red. That's how I see. And I know it's an apple because my intuition, the knowing part, says that's an apple. So when people are seeing things, they barely see them, but they know what they're looking at. So once they relax into that and go, okay, I'm going to bring this bar way down, then they'll realize that they've been seeing all along.
So then when you talk about doing a reading, you know, so you saw the guy that was 5'2". Do you talk to them? Like, what is, as far as getting a reading, what does that involve? Is it just, I see this person, they're here with you, they seem happy, or is it like more detailed information? Are you transferring messages?
I transfer messages to them, whatever they want to show me. Here's where that masculine feminine thing comes in. If I push to find out what I want to find out, it just fades. If I am good and I know my place and I stay in my lane and I just say, okay, whatever you want to tell me, that's when more comes through. And so I simply repeat what I'm seeing, feeling, and hearing. And this will tell you how long I've been doing this. You know what my original analogy was a phone cord. I'm just the phone cord. And I'm like, I know one day I'm not going to be able to use that analogy anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's true. If you're on a call with your aunt, the medium should be just the phone cord telling you exactly what she's saying. So, and it's not necessarily word for word. Sometimes it's they're showing me this, or they're showing me that, or they're showing me this. But if you give spirit, ancestors, loved ones, guides, if you give them the floor, you're going to get 100 times more information.
Wow. So is the defocusing that you're talking about, remember back in the day, the magic eye puzzles where you just kind of just defocus and all of a sudden the image pops out at you? Is it kind of like that?
Yeah. And you know what people talked about after that? I keep seeing stuff out of the corner of my eye. It's like, yeah. So it's exactly like that. It's exactly like that. Here's a fun one. I had a student, just one of the most wonderful women I've ever met. She was learning to use her intuition, and she contacted me and she said, I have to tell you this story, but it's a little awkward. I said, go for it. She said, every time this started and I don't know what to do. At work, I go to the restroom that has stalls, and in front of me on the stall, I'm starting to see things. And I was like, okay, that's just delicious and fun. And she goes, yeah. And now she says, now I'm getting in trouble because I'm taking too long on bathroom breaks. Cause she's like, cause I'm starting to, so she's, they call it scrying, where you relax your vision into a shiny surface. And that's what she was looking at. It was, I think, black or gray stalls, and it was shiny. There's people that scry into mirrors, people that scry into like a bowl of water. Anything to get you to relax your vision is what gets you to kind of let go of the material world.
I had not heard of scrying before.
Really?
All these interviews we've done, I don't think anyone's ever talked about it.
Oh, I think you misunderstood. You thought they were crying, but no, they were scrying.
I mean, that's possible, but
It actually, you triggered a memory in me right now, and we've talked about it on the show a little bit, but back in the day when I was first training with a guru, my guru's name is Larry, but don't laugh. But he was, teaching me different
Chad.
things. No, it was Larry. It was actually Larry. He did say, because it just struck me because that shimmery thing that you're talking about, the heat vision thing. As I'm looking at him, it was kind of dark. He was up against a white wall, and I could see his image around him, like his shimmery thing around him. And I said, I think I can kind of see your aura. He goes, oh yeah. Well, tell me what it does now. And he just kind of closed his eyes, and I went, whoa, because I saw the thing shoot up, right? But it was like this shimmery thing. It wasn't like a color. It wasn't anything. So ever since then, if I defocus my eyes on just a flat surface, I can kind of see the shimmery things. I don't see colors, but I've always thought, oh, yeah, I could see auras. What am I seeing?
The spaces in between.
That's a little scary.
Yeah, it's kind of fun too. Yeah, we tend to think of, I like to use the word source because I've got students all over the globe. So people, all different, the Sage method doesn't align with any one particular path. It's kind of like a giant toolbox. And I like to use the word source, but people tend to think source is over there, or, that when we pass, we go there, we go to a different location. But for me, my understanding at this point is that the world is built within source. And if you look at just the structure of molecules, there's more space than there are molecules. Right. And so we're never, we've heard we're never really touching anything because there's all that space. And that's where they reside. That's where they are. They don't come to visit us. They don't travel. It's not anything like that. It's a matter of if they allow their vibration to lower enough for our vibration to raised up to be able to connect with them. So it's more like they take a deep breath and it pulls them closer to us, I guess.
Do they breathe though?
Sorry,
I have to go there.
I'd have to say no on that one, yeah.
That'd be a no, Bob.
Yeah.
So you hear about then spirits like hauntings and that they're trapped, these energy, whatever that's trapped here. If it's all together, are they just somehow trapped in a lower vibration within the same plane between the spaces?
Exactly. Their vibration is just still very low. When you hear someone talk about going through the transition process, because I've done crossing over work for almost the 20 years. That was one of the first things that I started to do with that guide that I was working with. Their vibration is just very low and they go through their transition process. So we have three bodies. We've got the physical body. We have the spiritual body, which is like the soul, whatever you want to call that. We have then the third body is the programming body, which is our mind on linear time. It's, hi, my name is Beau, right? I'm here. It's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So we have these three bodies. And what happens when we die is that the physical body will release from the other two. What that means is the physical body, which has kept us at a very low vibration, is now disconnected. So our vibration starts to increase. When we're going through what people call the in-between, there's a whole bunch of different terms for that, but I call it the in-between. When we're going through that, you are the exact same person you were when you were on Earth. You just don't have a physical body. Now, as your vibration increases, the programming body is going to also disconnect because it can only be at a particular vibration. This is sort of a description of the crossing over process. So when someone, you just try, like, this is one of my favorite topics, Karen. So I'm like, blah, 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 blah. But when somebody is crossing over, which is an absolute automatic pathway. You've heard people come back from near-death experiences and say it was just a draw. I mean, it just automatically pulled me toward this incredible light. Like all those stories, people can get stuck in the in-between, but it's almost always voluntarily pausing, pushing stop and being just saying, hold on, hold on, hold on. And it usually has to do with fear. So when we have what people call hauntings or a ghost, that in essence is a person, the exact same, it's Bill, Bill is Bill. He's still the same Bill he was before. He's just not limited with a body anymore.
I love the way that you explain things because it makes sense to my brain. So all the more reason to understand we are kindred in that sense. But I think we really want to talk about your SAGE method because you help a lot of people with this. So how did you design it? What is it? How does it work? And how can we get in on it?
So if we go back to when I first opened up and I met my first spirit guide, that was the first heat wave that I ever saw. Happened to be in a friend's backyard kind of foresty area, which was odd. I was leaving their house and I went, there's someone out there. And I was drawn. And I kept coming back and I kept talking to him. Like I said, I worked with him for 2 years and he had me work on certain aspects of my life, certain things that I needed to learn and understand. The other side is not on linear time. What does that mean? It means that all of our lifetimes are all happening at once. I went through 2 years of this kind of schooling, you could say. And when he said, put it all together and bring it out into the world, I was like, you want me to teach someone for 2 years? Like, I can't. And I pared it down into like the core teachings because I had been journaling through the whole thing. And I pared it down to the core teachings that he taught me. And it really kind of ended up being 3 sections. It did end up being 7 weeks. I have not been able to shrink it down. So it is a 7-week course. I mean, it's the shortest period of time I could get it done in. But it really says, what is your programming? Who are you really? This is how the spirit world works. Like some of the stuff we've been talking about here is just the tip of the iceberg. And then there's a whole series kind of sprinkled throughout, but then at the end, there's a big series of experiments that hold you in different ways and spaces intuitively so that you can explore how you're wired uniquely. So some of the core reasons I believe that the course works so well and it ended up spreading like wildfire, and here I am like 18 years later, right? Is that everyone's wired differently. Everyone's intuition is different than the person next to them. So when we hold ourselves in these different ways, we see what works and we see what doesn't work for us. That is massively valuable. So it's not a course that says, oh, this is how you do it exactly like this. It's a course that says, try this, try this, try this, try this, try this. And then you kind of, what was those books? Create your own story. You kind of create your own path, right? And that's a key component of it. But the other key component of this course, which is what works so well, is the understanding that hallway, that intuitive channel has always been there. It is incredibly natural. Every single person has it. And it's just that it is cluttered and we don't use it. So it's a little dusty and nobody taught us how to sit with it and use it. And it's cluttered with emotional clutter, mental clutter, environmental clutter, things like this. And so the course is kind of like the artist's way, it's teaching you intuition, like that teaches you art, but it's also asking you to discover yourself as well. And until we know who we really are, and until we align and have the things in our life that we want and don't, have the things in our life that we don't want, we can't really fully access that channel. But once we are set up on that path, then we have access to it. And I think that's why it works so well.
How involved is the course? Is it like a once a week thing, a few times? Is there just give me kind of an idea of how that part of it goes?
It's, I tell people it's once a week, right? It's, couple hours every single week of videos. And there's, workbook with homework. And week 1, you're going to do this for 7 days. And then week 2, you're going to do this for 7 days. And each week stacks itself on top of the week before. So you get the first week under your belt and then you're ready for the next week type thing. I would say that a person would invest, if they tried to get it all done in 7 weeks, because not everybody does. Some people take a couple months to do it. You can take it at your own pace. If you did it in 7 weeks, I would say it'd probably be about 10 hours a week of work.
Wow,
Okay.
that's not a
Yeah,
lot.
it's really,
It's not a little bit of work. That's quite a deep dive.
Yeah.
Wow.
it is. But I'm very fortunate in that my guide, I used to teach it in person, and I taught it in person for years. And my current guide said, what was it? The summer of 2019. My brain's not working. It was the summer before COVID. He said, I need you to put this online. And I was like, that means that I have to get on video. He said, yes, you do. So I had to overcome that shy factor.
Yeah.
And I did. And I put it on video and then I put it online. The beauty of it being online now is that it's gone global. People have access to the course. Once they have access, they always do. So because I've been teaching it for so long, I have students, and all previous students now have access to the online course, all the ones I taught in person. Some students will take it once a year, or they'll take it once every other year, because as you grow, you change and new things open up for you. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's really cool for me because I'm wired to be a cheerleader. And so for me to be able to watch people like become empowered and open up and go, no way, that just happened. I've had, 18 years of that joy, and I really like my job.
Well, and that just triggered another question. Like, what kind of results can you give us an example of someone who's really been impacted by this course?
Yeah, I have a lot of people that have gone professional. And when I say a lot, let me clarify, like maybe 100. Right?
That's a lot. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Jeez.
Well, so if we're going to compare it though to how many people have taken the course, because I know it's at this point it's over 10,000 have taken the course, so it's a very small piece of the students that have gone professional. So 95 at least percent of the students use it in their personal lives. I get a lot of feedback that they finish it and they reach out to me. These are my favorite heartwarming emails. They reach out to me and they say, I took your course to open up my intuition. I didn't know it would actually improve my life. And I'm like, it's really cool, isn't it?
Wow.
And they're like, yeah. And it's this sort of backwards thing where your life will automatically improve if you're taking these steps, because you're getting into alignment with what you actually should be doing and who you are and all of that. And then life naturally improves. So that's really encouraging. I've had students who were able to step into much deeper levels of their work as a result of it. A lot of times someone says, I've been using my intuition all along and I didn't even know it. And now you just outlined it and now I can see that I'm doing it. And I'm like, yep, there it is. So it's very freeing.
Is there a sage light? Because I really want to do it, but 10 hours a week is a lot.
You can do it at your own pace.
You can do it at your own pace.
You call it sagely? Or, right?
Yes.
Sage Sage for Dummies.
Sage light.
Right. Mini
Yeah,
sage?
you can take it at your own pace.
Yeah. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. So I'm going to drop another edit point here because it's been driving me crazy and I got to mention something, but I'm going to pull it out because I don't want to, embarrass you. But is there a celebrity that you have been told you remind people
God, I've been
of?
thinking that too.
Have you?
Yes.
Is it Melissa McCarthy?
It is.
Yeah. That's hilarious. Like for the minutes, I'm like, what's her name? What's her name? Melissa McCarthy.
It's been driving me nuts. I was like, oh my God, she's like, I'm talking to Melissa McCarthy. And not that you look like her, but you have like mannerisms, like the way you express some of your facial expressions.
eyes.
Yeah, it's like, oh my God, it's the coolest thing. So
Yeah, it's very cool.
I didn't want to embarrass you, but you
You can keep that in there.
You don't mind?
Keep
Okay.
that in there.
Well, I think it'd be cool for people
I
that,
am- Yeah, I am a huge fan of
Okay.
Melissa McCarthy. She's, that's a giant compliment for
Okay,
me. I think
good.
she is beautiful.
She's amazing.
Funny,
Yeah.
real, gorgeous. Like, I mean, all the things I am. So, of course.
She's amazing.
It lines
She's amazing.
up.
All right, awesome. All right, well, then we'll keep it in. Then, sorry, listener, you just got an inside look at how we do the show.
Wow.
Okay, so we have every once in a while we have a guest on that we really enjoy the conversation so much about that we're going to throw a couple of curveball questions your way and see what
Yes.
kind of answer you come up with. Are you cool with that?
Absolutely.
Is this like a rapid fire?
No, it's those the curveballs. Okay,
I know.
All right,
teasing.
so here's my first curveball for you. Going back to the actual college thing that we talked about in the pre-open, right? If intuition was an actual college course, what would be the funniest class you'd offer as an elective? Is it Dream Interpretation 101, decoding why you've always late to class in pajamas? Like, what would it be?
How to, I'm trying to find the title of the class. I know exactly what it is, but I'm trying to find the title of the class. So it would probably be how to set privacy boundaries with spirit.
Oh,
That's
yes.
a good one because, oh my God, hello, I'm in the shower.
Because I have been in the bathroom, utilizing the bathroom, and said,
Oh.
"Can you give me a minute?" Like,
No.
Oh my gosh.
No,
I'm
no,
all set,
no.
yeah.
Forget it. I said, if anything I said about taking the sage thing, forget it. I'm done. I'm out.
no, he's done. He's done. He's done.
No, they're watching
But
you anyways. You just don't know.
let me just say this. Let me say this. Spirit doesn't have the same embarrassment factors and I mean, we're in a physical body. We came down here and sort of isolated our soul into this, capsule that we can hide things in, and hiding things is part of the human experience. And spirit doesn't quite understand that or really get on that same groove. So even in that situation, the spirit was like, huh? Oh,
Right.
okay.
But there's
Like,
a
I
there's a
don't
flaw
get
in that. There's a flaw in that thought process because I do.
Yes, exactly. And so it can be a minute of like, just take a minute. And for anybody that's listening going, well, how do you do that? Because that's now wigging me out.
Yes.
Yeah. Just imagine a bubble, like a little bubble, like the size of a baseball, and imagine it expanding out to the size of the bathroom, and it pushes everything out of the walls. And it works very well.
But do you have to keep focusing on the bubble? Because I'm thinking like,
No.
you're with your spouse. You're like,
No,
there's a bubble.
they're-
Wait,
they're-
there's a bubble.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Karen.
and this is how it goes. It goes, hey, honey, hold on, bubble up. Yes.
Okay, there we go.
That's the pattern. No, the one thing about spirit is that they do get the message. They do very good with boundaries. Movies will tell you otherwise, but truth be told, we are in the physical world. We have control over our physical space. And so just do the bubble once and you're good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And not to say, right, we're not judging anybody. If you're into the polyamory thing with dead people, then by all means go for it and invite them into your bedroom. Right? But no bubble a lot, necessary, but
Or was it voyeurs?
but
No,
just in
exhibitionists.
case, right?
Hey.
Just in case, Okay. All right. Curveball number 2. Have you ever gotten an intuitive hit that was so strange that you didn't believe it at first, but turned out to be 100% spot on?
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm trying to recall one that's really odd. There's so many. I literally can't think of one off of the top of my head. So I'm trying to think of something that is just an odd alignment. I can tell you how about I tell you the day that I decided this was real? That's, I think
would love to hear that.
that'd be a good one. Cause I used to have an old car, and I remember I had this solid belief that it would never die. It's like a 78 Saab or something. And I was at a stoplight, and this is a good one. And then I'll tell you real quick, the one that made me believe. I'm at a stoplight, and all of a sudden I can just hear it. The car's going to die. The car's going to die. And I'm like, that goes completely against my braggadocious belief that it never dies because it's a tank. And I said, okay, well, I guess I should do what I teach other people to do and listen to my intuition. I looked out the right side, passenger side of the car, and there was a mechanic. I'm like, couldn't hurt. Pulled in the mechanic's parking lot, pulled into a parking spot, and the car died.
Wow.
Wow.
I was like, get out of town. Yeah. And
Wow.
I go in, and the guy's like, oh, well, actually, we got time now if you just want us to take a look. And I was like, what? And he's like, sure. And then he comes out 15 minutes later. He's like, it's this little piece of plastic. That'll be like, just pay for the plastic. We were on break anyway. And then sent me on my way. But
Wow.
yeah, that's one of the fun ones in my teaching ones that I use to say, this is why you hone your intuition.
Right.
Because stuff's going to happen. It just doesn't have to happen as bad, right?
Yeah.
Because you're listening.
Right.
The one that got me to believe was I was about 2 or 3 months into just being open, and I hadn't seen my grandmother again. And I was working on yes and no intuition because there was a Tai Chi guy that I knew, and he was the first person. I went to him and I said, you're the weirdest guy I know. Can you help me? This thing happened. And he just sweetly loved me through it. He was like, okay, that's not nice, but cool. So he helped me with yes and no intuition. And I was using that. And it was about 2 or 3 months in. I was by myself running errands, and I felt my grandmother, but that's all I could really achieve at that point. And I just finally said to her, I can't do this anymore. I'm now faking myself into this. I can't. I said, honey, you got to give me some proof, or I got to get help. Right. Mm-hmm. So a little while later in the day, I felt her. I pulled over. I had a pendulum, and I was doing yes and no, and I was asking these yes and no questions. So yes and no questions take a very long time. 20 minutes later, this is the message I got. Your mother will call you. She will be in trouble financially, and she will ask you for help. However, a friend of hers will end up helping her, not you. And I said, that's specific. Good. I'm proving myself all right out of this crap. Like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
And hour later, my mom calls, and I'm still running errands. And she's like, sweetie, I'm in Vegas, and I need you to take cash out of your bank. This was back when we went to banks. Mm-hmm. She said, I need you to go take cash out of your bank. I need you to drive it to my bank and deposit it. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And I did that. And I was driving to her bank, and I was still talking myself out of it. I'm like, this isn't the first time that this has happened. So this could just be another day. Pulled into the bank, parked the car. She called me back again and said, oh, honey, don't worry about it. My friend Lisa already wired me the money.
Okay. That is pretty
And I went,
specific.
Wow.
And it all happened in the same day. So I said, I'm in.
Wow.
I'm in. I hear you.
Wow.
So,
well, yeah, I can't say as I blame you. That would probably do it for me too. Oh my God. I have so many more questions for you, but we are out of time.
Oh my gosh, it's been an hour already.
It has been an hour. Beau, you've got to come back. We love you so much. You've got to come back. This has been so wonderful.
I would love to come back. The two of you absolutely rock. And I love this podcast.
Thank you so much. We love you. So we are the Mutual Admiration Society. Yes. All right. If someone wanted to take the SAGE method or get in touch with you, what's the best way for someone to do that?
Visit thesagemethod.com, THESAGE method.com. I do a really good job at keeping everything there. And I would tell them, start with the free course.
Oh,
you know,
there's a free course.
There's a Sage Light, and it's so light, it's free.
That's what I asked you. Sage Light. There was a Sage Light. That's it. That's the one for me.
I didn't think about it.
It's a starter.
It's a good solid course, and I've been giving it to people for 15 years. So yeah.
Okay.
I tell people just start with that.
All right. Well, the Sage Method, we're going to add a link to our show notes. So if you didn't have a pen handy at that particular point in time, all you need to do is, like always, go to skepticmetaphysician.com, go to Beau's episode page. You'll see the link directly in there. So all you got to do is hit the link. You don't have to type anything in. So, Beau, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been wonderful.
And I'm going to start Sage Light tonight.
Oh.
I am. I'm gonna be jealous.
Well, that means I'm going to start Sage Light tonight, too. In fact, I might start Sage Heavy today. I don't know.
Let's go full in. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
It's been wonderful. We'll see you again really soon.